What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about the top 5 short squeeze stocks that you need to add to your watch list going into this upcoming week. So I'm going to go over all the things that you need to know, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So this upcoming week, there was a couple data points to pay attention to, but it was going to be tariff related. That was going to be what moves the market. There was a lot of tension starting to increase on Friday between the States and China. But there was news that did drop on Saturday that is going to flip the market on its head come Monday. So last week we saw a very nice push higher when the tariffs were paused for 90 days with exception of China. Similar is going to happen on Monday. So news that did drop, I'm sure everyone knows this at this stage in the game, but the US grants tariff exclusions for computers, smartphones, and chip making equipment. And so ultimately, I don't know if the states finally did crunch the numbers and realized that it wasn't feasible and in their best interest to tariff these ones, but nonetheless the market is going to rocket like crazy. And even if stocks aren't really correlated with these exclusions, it is just going to be more of a psychological kind of moving in the right direction. So of course, any heavily shorted stock most likely will get a nice push higher, but my top 5, I kind of filter it based on previous price action momentum and also heavily shorted in some aspects. So it's a good hybrid kind of grouping, but nonetheless, I think any stock out there that's heavily shorted, shorts are going to get fucked. Pardon my French. But getting to stock number 5, you have ticker BAER sitting at $1.59 over the last 1 year, down 68.82%. Over the last 5 days, up 54.37. So definitely gaining some good momentum there. This is what they do, so feel free to pause it and go through it. But currently, you have 6.05% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 1.48 million shares. For those of you that are familiar with my videos, you have a lot of good likelihood that a lot of these stocks do continue their momentum and really move higher, even though they aren't the most heavily shorted. They're not 60-70% shorted, they're 6%, but because of previous price action, shorts kind of overextending themselves, they make for a very good squeeze play. So again, just be aware of that. Short score, so the higher the number, the higher likelihood of a squeeze happening, is 60.03, and right now cost to borrow average is 9.86. That is an annual rate, not a daily rate. One thing to keep note of though is right over here, the available shares. So right now there's roughly 300,000 shares available to be shorted, and the reason why I bring that up is if you have limited supply, you could see some buying coming from big players, BlackRock, Vanguard, and so forth, as they like to buy these types of stocks just to lend out. So that could you could see some buying associated to that. But nonetheless, this is stock number 5. Moving on to stock number 4, ticker is JNVR. So this was on my list last week, and over the last 5 days, it is up 262.68%. So prime example of that technically you don't need the most heavily shorted stocks for them to make some kick-ass gains. So for those of you that added this to your watch list from my last video, you would be up quite a lot. So again, even more reason that you need to add these to your watch list. So over the last 1 year, it is up 456%. And then over the last 5 days, like I said, up 262. This is what they do, so feel free to pause it, based out of good old Florida in the States. And currently, 7.01% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 41,000 shares. Exactly what the market likes to squeeze, somewhat heavily shorted and low float. So that meets that criteria. Short score is 76.27, and then through IBKR does indicate 8 lonely shares. That is it. 8 shares. And so even IBKR is charging 286%. So you'll definitely see some buying come Monday. So shorts in this stock is going to be really, really effed. So again, even more reason to add this one to your watch list. Do whatever floats your boat. If you want to buy it, sell it, do whatever you want, but definitely at least add them to your watch list. So moving on from here to stock number 3, you have ticker VERO sitting at $4.31. Over the last 1 year, down 44.02. Over the last 1 month, up 56.16. A lot of volatility, as you can kind of see. And this is what they do. So healthcare equipment based out of good old Toronto, Canada. 34.23% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 183,000 shares of it overall being shorted. So again, meets that criteria, very heavily shorted, low float, utilization 8706, short score is 81.13, and then cost to borrow average is 419.47%. And then through IBKR, you see roughly around 45,000 shares available to be shorted. And the rate that IBKR is charging is 515%. So crazy stuff. So you'll definitely see some buying associated to this stock, as that cost to borrow is very, very juicy. I don't think BlackRock can kind of live up and ignore that one. So should make for a very interesting week. Starting off, or moving on to, I guess, stock number 2, ticker is MBOT, so Microbot Medical, sitting at $2.23 over the last 1 year, up 106.48%, over the last 5 days, up 58.16%. But aside from that, this is what they do: healthcare equipment based out of the States. Braintree, if I'm saying that right. Interesting name. But 16.42% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 5.71 million shares. Cost to borrow average 311%. Short score 84.23, and then through IBKR does indicate about 55,000 shares. So another stock that you'll definitely see some buying based on this. And just be aware, my top 5 list, it's not in really any particular order. I kind of filter it just on a side note of which stocks I feel are kind of very good candidates, and then I just organize it based on of those 5, the short score. So again, just all these are good candidates that you need to add to your watch list. So just kind of just be aware of that. But without further ado, let's get to stock number 1, very popular retail one, and that is ticker DNA. And so I think back in the day, this one was a huge one that everyone absolutely loved. Clearly it's not doing all that well. So over the last 1 year, down 80.67, but definitely starting to gain some traction over the last 5 days, up 57.67%. This is what they do. I'm pretty sure, again, a lot of people kind of know this, but based out of good old Boston, in the States. But 31.13% of the free float is being shorted, works to be 11.43 million shares. Cost to borrow average 28.93, and then short score is 84.82. And then as you can kind of see, shorts have really started to slowly get in, so they've overextended themselves quite significantly with this stock. So again, that could really work in its favor for this week given the recent news. But through IBKR, roughly around 400,000 shares is available to be shorted. So this is the top 5, but like I said at the beginning, I think almost any kind of heavily shorted stock is a good candidate to really add to your watch list. But yeah, let me know your general thoughts on this upcoming week. A couple of things I do want to share with you though. If you're looking for some kick-ass buy signals, pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. So definitely worthwhile to kind of pop over there and take a look. So despite the crazy volatility that's been happening over the last little bit, I've been stating on my Patreon that this tariff news is short term and that you should be buying the dip. And that is going to be working out in a lot of people's favor this week, assuming, again, if you did buy the dip. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there, kind of take a look at that. And then aside from that, if you are looking for just to chat with like-minded individuals, I have a Discord completely free as well. So pop over there and take a look. A lot of people talking about stocks, options, crypto. And if you have any questions, you can ask individuals there about what their kind of thoughts are on stock. So both of those, Patreon and Discord, link in the description below and also the comments. Hopefully everyone's having a kick-ass weekend. And with all that, appreciate all of you watching.